then I was like, okay, I cannot do corporate America
Hmm.
anymore. It is killing me. So I walked away from that, jumped out of an airplane, and then walked away from the corporate career.
Okay. Okay. Skydiving,
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
No, I just jumped out of an
No, I
airplane
just
while
jumped. I survived.
yeah.
There's a nice padding right there. What's up, you beautiful beasts? I'm Katie, and I'm on a mission to help people become their favorite versions of themselves and build whole human health by healing their relationship with food and movement, healing their relationship with their body, and most importantly, healing their relationship with themselves. And we are doing that without obsessing over a number on a scale. I've had the honor of talking with all kinds of incredible humans who have lived through all kinds of experiences because that's part of being a human. Life is messy, painful, beautiful, complicated, and transformative, and sometimes all at once. I wholeheartedly believe that every time someone shares their story, somebody listening will take something from it. Maybe they'll feel seen, maybe they'll feel inspired. Maybe they'll learn something that shifts the way they see themselves, their life, their health, or what healing can look like. This podcast tells the stories of humans healing, growing, rebuilding self-trust, and unveiling their beautiful beast. Keep listening. This is the Unveiling the Beast podcast. So, welcome to the Unveiling the Beast podcast. Can you tell myself and the listeners a little bit about who you are and why you think you are who you are?
Wow, that's a good question to start off with. Can we just like ease into it? No, we're just gonna hit the
Oh,
ground
sure.
running.
Well,
Yeah, yeah.
let's do it.
Just do it. We're gonna unveil the beast immediately.
Yes.
Yeah, so I am Sue Willoughby, and I'm happy to be here today. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I am also a podcaster, and I call myself a midlife strategist. The name of my podcast is Midlife Strategies for Badass Women. So there you go. Uh,
Hell yeah.
and my path to getting where I am today has not been a forward straight path. So I've taken a lot of detours. The way I live my life is that I've just been whatever I'm interested in, I'm going to explore because I feel like that's
Mhm.
the only way to have real life experiences. I mean, if you're not curious, then you're just going to kind of stay in your little bubble, stay in your comfort zone. And I maybe it's the way I grew up, but my comfort zone has always been kind of discomfort. So the more uncomfortable I am, I guess
Yeah,
that's
I
the
love
way
that.
yeah. So I've followed many paths and they've taken me, down, sometimes not always making the best choices, but
But you
but
don't
that's
know that
okay.
until after you make the choice, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You just got to make a choice.
Hmm. Yeah. I love what you were saying about curiosity because I tell my people all the time with my big fat potty mouth that curiosity is a fucking superpower. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Well, then, yeah, I should have a cape and some tights to go along with that.
for
Big
sure.
fucking superpower. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. I've done a lot of things. I mean, just a few, if you look at my bio, I've, driven in demolition derbies. I've flown and owned an airplane. I've been a roller derby referee. I've, done a lot of stuff. Worked in a strip club, not as a stripper, please. Thank you very much.
Darn it.
No one needs to see that, right? I was a bartender and a DJ, but I mean, I've done so many different things.
Mm,
Just because, curiosity and just being interested in things, and
yeah.
you know, led me to a long corporate career after quitting high school twice and thinking, well, I'm just going to be stuck in some dead end job for the rest of my life. And then I
Mm,
had an opportunity to move cross country and also an opportunity to go back to school. And at that point, I was ready to go back to school and got a degree and went into tech and spent, probably 30 years in tech and tech training. And then I was like, okay, I cannot do corporate America
hmm.
anymore. It is killing me. So I walked away from that, jumped out of an airplane, and then walked away from the corporate career.
Okay. Okay. Skydiving,
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
No, I just jumped out of an
No, I
airplane while
just
I was,
jumped. I survived.
yeah,
There was a nice padding right there.
exactly.
So tell me how all of that kind of shaped and guided you to what you do now with horses. I'm
Mm,
very fascinated with that. I'm fascinated with learning more about the horse. I've been calling it horse therapy in my head.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
equine assisted coaching. I'm not a licensed
Mhm.
therapist, but I mean, we do, tackle some pretty tough things because, when you're in the presence of a very large animal that has a very large heart,
Mhm.
you things come up. So how did I get there? That's a great question. I grew up with an alcoholic parent, and that's part of the reason where I was like, I never knew what I was going to get, so I had to kind of figure a lot of shit out on my own. And I did.
Mhm.
But it was interesting because I was always in love with and fascinated by horses, even as a small child. I remember being a little kid and looking out my back window. And, when you're little, they put you to bed early and it's still daylight. And I'm like, what the hell's going on here? So I'm
Yeah.
staring out my back window, and there's these two horses in my backyard drinking out of my kiddie pool. And I was like, I got all excited. I thought they were mine. Yeah,
Horsey.
no, they they escaped from the neighbor down the street. And then I just, once again, I follow the breadcrumbs, and I would beg my mother to take me to the barn. I grew up in upstate New York, and we'd have like bazillion inches of snow, and I'd be like, take me to the barn. And I would just be there, I'd stay there
Yeah.
for days on end. Um, Sometimes because she forgot to come get me. No, I'm just kidding. Kind of.
Oh.
No, not really, not really. But I mean, I just, became friends with the kids whose parents owned the barn, and I would just kind of just camp out there. And it was my happy place, and I didn't really understand what was going on. I didn't
Mhm.
have that kind of emotional intelligence. I just knew that being around horses felt very grounding and very
Mhm.
comforting. And then fast forward as I got older, my sort of late teens, I volunteer well, not really volunteered. I was looking in the newspaper. Remember the thing, and there's
Yeah.
little ads in there.
I
And they
am old
needed
enough to remember.
right? Newspaper, what the hell is that? And I saw an ad, and it was like in kind of one of those weird like alternative newspaper thingies. And it was a camp for individuals with special needs, and
Mhm.
they were looking for people to work in the horseback riding program. And I was like, that sounds cool. I'm just gonna quit my stupid job and go do that for the summer. And I did, and I loved it. It was therapeutic horseback riding, and I didn't even know what that was at the time, but it was fantastic. And then I did that every summer for the next few years, and much to my mother's disappointment. But I made lifelong friendships, and it was amazing to see how, some of these individuals that were, on the autism spectrum or had Down syndrome or had other, emotionally disturbed or whatever it was that, made them differently able to be with the horses and
Right.
see that connection. It was just amazing. And then later in my adult life, uh, when I moved to Connecticut, or I'm sorry, when I moved to the Seattle area from Connecticut, I connected with another therapeutic riding program, and that's all they did. And
Mm.
so I became a volunteer there, and one thing led to another, and I became certified uh, equine massage therapist, which was really different because that was more about the animal, right? That was more about the horse. I got to
Yeah.
support the horse and hold energetic space for the horse. And that was really cool. And then that eventually led to coaching. So there you go. I don't
That's
give short
really
answers,
neat.
by the way, in case you're wondering.
I love the long answers. They're my favorite. I My aunt is an Arabian horse trainer. and
Oh,
her
yeah.
ranch is like down the street from here.
Nice.
And with you speaking, I'm like trying to picture myself on her ranch and how I feel when I'm there, and it's always just peaceful and serene, except one time when a horse, like, I was a kid and it just started running and I'm like on the side of a mountain and I was anyway. But other than
Yeah,
that,
scary. We've all had
it's
that
very
experience. Well, yeah.
serene. Yeah. And just being next to these beasts who are just so gentle, and there's
Yeah.
something about it, you know?
Yeah.
So
Have you ever done any like equine coaching or therapy or and been in a scenario around that, or have you just been around horses and feeling that kind of connection?
I've been around, there was one time I was kind of sort of coached by my aunt.
Ah.
I was going through a very nasty divorce. I was married to an abusive drug addict.
Mm,
And so I had gotten away and I was like, I'm going to go ride a horse on my aunt's ranch. And so I got on this horse. The horse's name was Riverside.
nice.
And she was trying to get me she was trying to get me to get the horse to run. And I couldn't do it. And I couldn't
Mm,
do it. And I couldn't do it. And I couldn't do it. And she goes, Katie, if you don't get that fucking horse to run, you're never going to be able to control anything in your life. And I got the
mm,
horse to run.
interesting.
So, I mean, it was kind
Interesting.
of like it was like tough love kind of coaching, but maybe just because it was my aunt, but it was an experience for me. Like it kind of changed me
Yeah.
she the way she said it. I don't know how to explain it, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Interesting choice of words because it's like when you're working with a horse, it's not about control, right? But I understand how
right.
she was saying that if you can't control your what so here let me give you a little background around that why
Okay.
that probably happened um, is that a horses are prey animals, right?
Hmm.
People are like, what you talking about? They're prey animals and we are predators because our eyes are in the front of our head, and being a prey animal, every cell of their body is constantly sensing information, taking in all kinds of information, sight, sound, tactical, anything. And they're processing it because they need to know,
Hmm.
am I safe? Is
Right.
this thing, is this cat, is this person, is this predator going to hurt me? Do I need to, fight or flight, right? Do I need to get out of here? When they encounter us, they're also obviously herd animals. And when they encounter us, we're predators, like I said, they are picking up on not our external vibes, but what's going on inside our bodies
Mm.
and the way we approach them and the way that we look at them and the way that we, if you look at a horse like straight on like that, that's threatening to them. So when we can make that connection, they see through all of that things and they will connect with us on a heart centered, our it's like the hearts get into sync and you can ground yourself. They don't care if you're scared. They don't care if you're angry. They don't care. They don't care about what it is that you're going through. What they care about is that you're being honest with yourself and with them. So that's what your
Hmm.
aunt was getting to, right?
Yeah.
That, if you can't be honest with the horse and you're never going to be able to be honest with yourself and therefore take control of your life. So that's my interpretation
Yeah.
of what happened.
I love that. Yeah. It was so good though, because at that time I was just like in that marriage, I had completely lost who I was,
Mm,
because it just kind of like slowly bites away pieces at you until you're like, where'd I go? So I
yeah.
had pulled myself out of it. And I was just in that spot where I like to call it, I was in the hallway and I just, what's next? You know?
Yeah.
So it was perfect timing.
Yeah, and horses are really good about that. They will
Yeah.
help you peel back the layers very quickly,
Hmm.
um, quicker than, talk therapy or whatever. Because let's face it, we can say whatever we want to say, right? Because it's coming from our head and not our heart. And the horse is
Hmm.
going to listen to your heart and it's going to see your heart and it's going to feel your heart. and it's going to connect with you on that level. So you really can't lie to a horse because they
Yeah.
will give you exactly what you're giving them right back. And then you're like, oh shit, that's
Yeah.
me. Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. So how would I'm just assuming that you do sessions with clients,
hmm
the horse. How does something like that work?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. So if someone is doing a one-on-one session, it would be me and the horse and the client. And I'm outside of the arena. So I do basically a safety check with them and let them know this is how you can interact with the horse in a safe way.
Hmm.
If you want to get the horse to move, these are some examples of things that you can do, or you don't have to do anything. But I want to make sure that they feel safe and they feel comfortable. And then I am outside of the round pen or the small arena. I usually work in a smaller space, but also we can work out in the pasture too, and that's a really beautiful way because to the horse is just being a horse, and that's all they're ever doing is they're just being a horse, and that's the beauty of it, right? So I perhaps the person has set an intention or they've come to me that with something that they want to work on. So it's kind of funny because usually in the first session, the thing that they came to work on was not what needed to be worked on at all.
Yeah.
And it's kind of surprising how quickly those layers peel back. And so the person will be interacting with the horse in whatever way they feel comfortable. They may be trying to get the horse to move around the arena. They may just want to approach the horse and stand close to the horse. The horse, maybe they want the horse to follow, whatever it is, however they want to interact. The thing is that they are having a relationship with the horse. They're showing up however they show up and however they're going to show up in that relationship. Well, to be honest, the way they show up in that relationship is how they're showing up everywhere else in their life. And the horse, I'm watching the horse's behavior in response to what's going on with the client. And I will ask them some questions like, what are you observing with the horse? And they may say something like, oh, the horse is bored with me. The horse doesn't like me. The horse is ignoring me. And meanwhile, the horse may be over at the fence line nibbling on a
Hmm.
tiny piece of grass. That's the horse is like, what? Yeah,
Yeah.
transferring all this stuff onto the horse. And then, I can ask a lot of really good coaching questions and just say, why do you feel that way? And then, something may come out that it's like, well, everybody treats me like that. Oh, okay. Should we talk about
Mm.
that?
Yeah.
So it's really interesting because the horse is just being a horse, and they sometimes they may be in a position where they may challenge the person, not aggressively. Um,
Right.
but for example, if someone is walking with the horse and the horse is, walking very close to them and maybe like nudging them with their head or, kind of biting at their clothing or doing something like that, I might ask them, the client, how do you feel about that? They're like, oh, it's really cute. The horse is just trying to be friendly. And oh, okay. So then I'll be like, all right, well, let's see where this is going to go because I know where it's going to go most
Right.
times. And then the horse may be a little bit more pushy and a little bit like crowding the space a little bit more. And I'll ask again, how's that feeling now? And then they said, not really very good. Why, and then I can say, well, why? And they may say, well, the horse is in my space and I don't feel comfortable with that. Oh, okay. What would you like to do about that? And does that happen anywhere else in your life?
Hmm.
So great way to work on boundary issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just said there's no end of
Yeah.
things that come up when the person doesn't expect it. So it's interesting.
Hmm. One of my favorite coaching questions is, where else does that show up in your life?
Yeah, that's a great, and
Especially
that's,
when it's
yeah.
not when it doesn't feel related to whatever it is. Like I had a
Mhm.
client once, I was training like personal training with weights,
Mhm.
and she has a tendency to hold the weights like this.
Mm.
And I said, relax your wrist. Like say if I'm in this position and
Yeah.
pulling the weight up, she would hold it up like this. And
Mm.
I said, you're making it so much harder on yourself. Where else does this show up in your life? And she's like,
Right?
what? Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, that is so true. It's like, where else does this show up in your life? Do
Hmm.
people, test your boundaries all the time? Do you let people walk all over you? I mean, and when you got a 1,200-pound animal about to step on your foot, yeah, that's going to leave a mark. And you're like,
Yeah.
no, thank you.
Right. So you
My
got to tell
personal
it, right?
space. Yeah. Yeah. And then you can work on like how to communicate those things,
Hmm.
and a lot of times it's interesting, but I notice that if the person is having issues with like letting go or something like that, they they don't feel comfortable sending the horse away or creating boundaries with the horse because
Mm.
they're afraid that they're going to hurt the horse's feelings, or they're going to, send it away and it'll
Yeah.
never come back. And I think that that's really very interesting as well, because whatever's happening in that arena is happening in their life.
Hmm. Do you have like a specific kind of client, like a niche or a, I call it my seeker, the people who are already seeking the information that you have?
Yeah, they're seeking something, and what they're
Mhm.
seeking is usually themselves.
Mm.
They are, usually women in midlife that are starting to question what's next. Like you said, I'm in the hallway. What door do I go into next, or what hallway
Yeah.
do I turn down? And how do I give myself permission to do that? Or they're just feeling stuck. They don't know how to have, fun in their lives anymore. Like, where did that playful child go? Where did that, or they may be a high powered executive and they're like, I don't want to do this shit anymore, right? Like, I have had it. And so if I'm not doing this, where they're so tied to their identity, whatever that identity is, it could be, as a corporate executive, it could be as a mom, it could be both, it could be whatever their identity is, right? We get so tied to that
Yeah.
we're afraid to let that go because we don't know who we would be without that identity. So
Right.
it's typically people going through some sort of, transformation, or wanting to go through some sort of transformation, but not even knowing where to start. So I would say
Yeah.
that would probably be, and it's a pretty big niche, but still.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, I don't know if you said this here, but I remember reading it or something. It's like usually women over 40,
Mhm.
40 and over. That's like the age where we start to do that again. Like even right now, I'm 40 and my whole life is changing right now. All for all good stuff, but it's like I'm in the messy middle of it, which is why I'm sitting in a garage. Um, and yeah, it's just I'm relating to what you're saying. So,
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And I mean that can happen at any age, but like you said, I think that midlife is one of those things. And midlife for some people can be 40, it could be 50, it could be 60, it could be whatever. But it's that time in our lives where we start to question where we are and where we want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because whatever it is, like you said, you're in the messy middle, and life is freaking messy. It's just
Yeah.
messy, period. In the middle, in the
Yeah.
beginning, in the end, there's always going to be something messy. And how do you get through it to get to that next place that you want to be, and even
Yeah.
figure out what that place is, right?
Yeah. You're actually the first person I've interviewed since September or October because my podcast is actually on a break right now.
Oh,
Like
gosh.
because I just don't have time to edit the episodes. But um
I snuck in under the
yeah,
wire,
so
huh?
I was like, am I gonna be rusty? But no, it's just, as a podcast host, it just
Yeah,
comes right back. So
yeah. It's just a conversation.
yeah, and I love talking to strangers,
I
even though
know.
my mom told me not to when I was little.
Would you like a candy bar? No, I'm just kidding. Stranger danger, stranger danger.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah. So I mean that's kind of there's so many layers, and it's just it's really beautiful when you see somebody have a breakthrough. And as well in your coaching business, when somebody
Mm-hmm.
has a breakthrough, you're like, ah, that's why I'm here. That's
Mm-hmm.
why I do this. Now I know.
Yeah. I think the beauty of it too is like with what we do, it's the client always has their own answers. We just help pull it out of them. And then, oh, how do I like it's for me, it's never like, look what I did. I'm like,
Yeah.
look what you did, you
Yeah.
know? So,
Yeah. Those
yeah.
beautiful aha moments. And they're not your
Hmm.
aha moment. That's their
Exactly.
aha moment. And they always, like you said, and somebody was asking me, what's the difference between coaching and therapy? And I said, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of dollars of
Yes.
schooling. No,
Yes.
but the thing is, like you said, exactly, as a coach, and I don't love the term coach. I like to think of guide or strategist or whatever,
Hmm.
because we already do have the answers, and all of the life experiences that we've had help us put all those building blocks together. And sometimes we just need someone to, like you said, help extract that information, help extract those
Yeah.
experiences in a way that inform us. And
Yeah.
that's what coaches are for, is to guide and support and not tell. So people
Right.
want to be like, okay, just tell me what to do. I'm like,
Nope.
I can't do that. It's not my job.
Yeah. So was there a moment in your life when you were just like, "Ooh, that's what I want to do."
Hmm.
Or did
I
it just
don't,
kind of happen organically?
yeah, I think like most things in my life, it happened organically. Once again, following the breadcrumbs and just having that curiosity and that awareness
Mhm.
of, opportunities that present themselves, and not also, and just allowing things to unfold organically and saying, oh, this is interesting. And then, oh, this other thing that's kind of related. And it's weird that almost everything I've ever done in my life has resurfaced on some level. Like I was always interested in, like, I wanted to do radio broadcasting when I was a teenager, and that was a long ass time ago. And I took like sound classes. I did, and then I also went to school for video production stuff. So all of that stuff, you know, turned me into a tech training geek in corporate America, and, podcasting and all of those things. So all of those little pieces come into play. And I think another thing that happens with women in midlife is that they forget that. They forget that they have all those little tiny breadcrumbs and pieces that they can pull in. And they're like, oh, I
Yeah.
don't know, I'm not good at anything. Really? Are you?
You
Tell
sure?
me. Tell me some of the things you've done. Well, I've done this. And oh, so you are good at a few things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I do have one more question for you.
The
And
final question.
the final question, and I ask it differently. I don't remember what your email says, but I ask it differently now.
Perfect.
Um, if everybody in the world stopped what they were doing and said, Sue, please give me some advice, what would you say?
I'd be like, ask the horse. No, I'm just
The horse knows.
kidding. I would say, so if everybody in the world stopped, it would be a little intimidating, first of all. But I think I would just say, ask yourself the question, what am I curious about? What am I missing in my life? What is something that keeps coming up and keeps popping up in my awareness? Whatever that is, explore that. Be curious about it. Do some digging, try some new things. So I would just say, always be curious about what's
Mm.
going on in your life.
Boom.
Boom. Mic drop.
Boom. Beautiful beasts. Sue Willoughby signing off. Until next time.